This is Lon Winters with Graphic Elephants.
This is Jimmy Lamp.
This is Matt Vassallo with the RhinestoneWorld.com.
And you're listening to the Two Regular Guys podcast.
And you are listening to the Two Regular Guys podcast.
Hosted by...
My name is Terry Combs, RG, regular guy.
And Aaron Montgomery.
We're just regular guys having fun and trying to make a living in this really cool and exciting industry.
I think we all want to succeed 100% of the time.
Seek to understand before I try and make myself understood.
Bring a ton of great information.
Coming to you live from somewhere dark, dirty, and dank.
All right, folks, welcome into the show. It is Friday, February 17th, 2023, and I am Eric Campbell. You may have noticed I'm not Terry Combs, but Terry himself is on a plane right now to Texas to see all of his 6 grandkids. Wow. So yeah. Terry is out there doing the family thing, but you can find me here and at ericcampbell.com.
Excellent. And my name's Aaron Montgomery, and you can find me at oursuccessgroup.com. So Eric, yeah, great to have you along. Thank you for sitting in for Terry. Someday somebody's just going to go, well, the Two Regular Guys, it's Eric and Aaron, right? Oh, okay.
Hey, there's no less than 2 regular guys usually.
That's right. That's right.
Usually.
That's right. Yeah, we like to make Terry a little nervous, but no. Good. I'm glad that Terry gets some time with his family today, and
yes.
So thank you for sitting in. We've got a great guest today. In fact, Ray Weiss, who's with Printing United Alliance.
Yes.
They've been doing some amazing stuff, and it's kind of been. I think we'll obviously talk to Ray about it a little bit more, but kind of soft launch. And now that it's getting out there, I think people are starting to see what this is and how exciting this is for the industry. So really looking forward to talking to Ray about just education in general, but mainly about their new platform called iLEARNIng Plus. And really good show on the docket for you regulators out there today, Eric.
Well, absolutely. Especially knowing what we know about our listeners like us, the big education people, got some exciting stuff to show you, having gotten to see some things ourselves. So, you know, we may or may not have an inside track. We got to see some stuff ahead of time. There's enough to be excited about that we're happy to have that on today and have Ray talking about it. Yeah, exactly. And again, Ray's an education guy at his heart and soul. So we always love talking to people that are big on education anyways. And so we're going to get some great nuggets out of Ray. We've got some regulators checking in. Kristen says, always great to have Eric pinch hitting. Agreed. Good morning, Mr. David Gross. Good to see you here. And Ramona checking in. Good morning, fellas. Well, good morning, Ramona.
All right. Well, we also have a news segment for you all here today. We've got the wonderful Matt Dixon with Graphics Pro going to be sharing some news items for us. So, Eric, whenever you are ready.
Eric, regulators, thank you very much for having me today. Let's dive right in. With the Super Bowl over, it means it's that time of year when we once again take our annual look at what happens to all of those misprinted championship t-shirts. As everyone is aware, in order to meet American consumers' insatiable demand to have everything immediately, t-shirts and hats for both teams are printed prior to the game to celebrate their win. But since only one team wins, that leaves a lot of shirts sporting that classic Dewey defeats Truman look. Enter nonprofit company Good360. For 9 years, Good360 has been rounding up all those items, in this year's case, all those Philadelphia championship hats and shirts, so that they can be redistributed to people around the world who need clothing. Good360 then works with global nonprofits to distribute the clothing. This process keeps those clothing items out of the landfills and also out of the hands of delusional fans who can't accept a loss. In case you are wondering, they keep the final destination of these items secret. But Philly fans can rest assured that somewhere out there, their championship season is being celebrated. In other news, Epson has expanded its Epson Print Academy YouTube channel to include content for additional graphics markets. Initially created for photographers, the expanded channel now includes videos featuring content for such markets as promotional goods, signage, point of purchase, print production, t-shirts, and garments. Content consists of both short overviews and step-by-step tutorials, with ongoing uploads covering topics for the company's shirt color product lines and accessories. And finally, Graphics Pro Expo is coming to Irving, Texas, March 9th and 10th. This year's Irving show will feature an apparel decorator panel Friday, March 10th from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., hosted by our good friend Lon Winters, of graphic elephants, the panel will include perspectives from 6 apparel experts. Those experts include Nathan Bells of Impress Designs, Brett Bowden of Made Lab, Nikki Bowen of Cotton Street Apparel and Print Girl Mafia, Christina Haynes of Varsity Sports Shop and Print Girl Mafia, the Lady Print Boss, Latana Robertson, and Josh Wiley of IGG Screen Printing and Graphics. There are so many reasons to attend these live panel discussions, including being able to meet our panelists and ask follow-up questions, get tailored information and advice specifically for your shop, Jerry Springer-style chair throwing, gratuitous nudity and violence, coffee, cookies. What? Sorry, I'm being told there will be no cookies. For more information and to register free for the show, visit graphics-pro-expo.com. Gentlemen, back to you.
No cookies. I don't know.
Yeah, hopefully you guys didn't catch me giggle before I had managed to mute my mic there. Matt always coming with the humor on the news section. Gotta love that stuff.
Yeah, such good news stories too. You definitely, I may or may not have seen the Super Bowl winning shirts, when traveling abroad, where it's like, wait a second, they didn't win that year, right? So that's pretty interesting. And then all the good stuff. And agree with Matt. Those. We love a good panel. I mean, I think a panel discussion is so what a cool way, because it allows things to kind of organically evolve, right? The discussion organically evolves. One person might share something and that'll lead to another thought, and then there's interaction with the people there. So yeah, if you can get to that panel discussion they're having, I think that's really awesome too. So.
Yeah, I always love being on panels. And honestly, anytime you can get around people who are really have that shop floor experience, who are giving you kind of the voice to that experience they've had, worthwhile, especially when they get in a room together and start to chat.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, Eric, before we get Ray in here, we do need to, I think maybe why some people show up. I don't know. I know my son listens till this point, right? So he is 11 because he wants the dad joke. So
I am going to say, I'm glad you're reading the dad joke. This one's rough. I mean, first I will say though, this thanks to Martha Taylor who sent this one in. So this is from one of the listeners. I like to say that both because I want to say thank you for participating and because I don't want any of the blame for this joke.
Well, the funny, she shared this with me, and apparently a guy reading this has gone viral as well. So who
right.
knows? Who knows if I will go viral based on this, but we'll find out. All right. Well, are you ready?
Hit us with the dad joke.
Buckled up. All right, Eric, what is the difference between Dubai and Abu Dhabi?
I don't know. What is the difference between Dubai and Abu Dhabi?
Well, the people of Dubai, they don't like the Flintstones, but the people in Abu Dhabi do. I can't even say it. The people in Abu Dhabi do.
Oh boy. Yeah. If you couldn't feel how hard I cringed through the screen.
I couldn't even say it. It's so hard.
It's so bad. It's so bad. So once again, thank you to Martha Taylor for gracing us with that dad joke. Hopefully we can, like I said, I try not to get involved, but on this one, once again, we got the parentheticals. Might be a little out of date on the Flintstones humor, but okay, folks.
Yeah. Even kids today understand Flintstones humor. It's okay. All right. Well, Eric, we've got the dad joke out of the way, so keep us rolling here, sir.
Well, before we dive in, thank you to everybody who's checking out the Two Regular Guys podcast today. We are always looking for new guests, so if you or anyone you know would like to join us, go to calendly.com/2regularguys with your show ideas. Now, if you're listening to the podcast version of the show, we would greatly appreciate you sharing the Two Regular Guys podcast with your industry friends so they can become regulators too. We'd appreciate you giving us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Amazon Podcasts, or wherever you do your podcast listening. And if you're watching us live right now, absolutely join in with comments and questions. We love when the regulators interact, and we definitely want to hear more about what you think about this new learning platform and all the stuff we're talking about today.
Yep, definitely. Well, before we get to Ray, I've been talking about it a little bit, but I wanted to share a little more details. I got a quick quote unquote ad about this Masters of Success Plus program that I'm putting out there in the world. So if you're somebody that manages a group, a community, and wants to maybe help them get to the next level, this might be for you. So Eric, if you could play us in there. Attention all Facebook group admins. Hey, are you looking for a way to help your community of business owners achieve greater success? I invite you to partner with me to offer a mastermind program to your group. Allow our success group to handle the back end and structure while you focus on building and engaging with your community. You will help your members reach their full potential. I'm going to give you all the training, tools, and support needed to host bi-weekly calls and support your community in their journey towards success. Visit mosmasterminds.com to learn more. And the best part, you can earn up to $1,000 per quarter per group with no cost to you. Again, visit mosmasterminds.com to learn more and to schedule a call to get started today. All right. Well, check that out. Or if you have any questions, let me know. It's something I'm pretty excited about. It's my big goal for 2023 here, Eric, is to foster more people through the mastermind process, because I've just seen, we run masterminds at our success group as well. And we've just seen so much growth and just watching people reach things that they didn't think were possible because of the power of a mastermind. So, all right, I could go.
Well, like the panels, right? Getting around the people who have that drive is super useful, and especially get those different perspectives. But yeah, being part of that and leading those things can be hard.
Yeah, exactly. Well, real quick, as per usual here, Todd always has the follow-up. And we have some good follow-ups from time to time, but Todd is definitely stands out as somebody who always brings a follow-up. He said that joke was a dinosaur. Oof.
Boy, I don't know, Todd. I think you're hurting him. You're not helping him, Todd.
Yeah, all right. Well, before I make more of a fool out of myself here, Eric, let's get Ray in here. We get somebody smart in here with us. So we're not even going to intro him in. We're going to let him tell us a little bit more about himself. So welcome into the show, Ray Weiss with Printing United Alliance.
Thank you, Aaron and Eric.
Yeah.
So Ray Weiss with Printing United Alliance. I'm our Vice President of e-learning and certifications, and really my focus is our new iLearning platform, iLearning Plus platform.
Nice.
Awesome. Ray, before we get too much further away, though, just could you give us like a little background? What brought you? I know you've got quite a bit of experience on the color side and really in printing in general. So maybe just give our listeners that aren't familiar with you kind of a little bit of your background.
Sure. So I've been in the industry for a few years now. I always say I started off as a typesetter, and that sort of gives it away a little bit. But I've owned my own pre-press companies where color was huge focus for us. Kind of morphed into a offset print shop. So I've done the whole printing side of things. We brought in wide format back when I think it was the HP 3500. It was a long time ago. And that printer really could print about 10 posters overnight. We did a lot of courtroom exhibits at the time. So then I went into sales and service and training. To your point, Aaron, all the customers that I worked with, I would help train them up on color management, how to get the most use out of their printers. I sold Epsons, Mutos, Mamakis, a number of the different wide format brands, and joined then SGIA back in 2014. We merged with Printing Industries of America and became Printing United Alliance. And, I don't want to go into that whole thing.
Sure.
I've been actively involved, like you noted, with our workshop program. I think I met Aaron first at Skills USA when we were doing training for or running the competition for students. So I've been really closely involved with education the entire time I've been at Printing United Alliance.
That's awesome. Thank you for giving us that background. Just like I said, just in case people weren't familiar, you know where you're coming from here.
Sure.
Absolutely. And honestly, I love hearing that people have kind of some industry experience, because they're admittedly, as much as I love that organizers are coming from all different backgrounds, I think it's good for us. It's kind of great to know that people have a little bit of that kind of background. So we speak a little bit of the same language, even if we don't all do exactly the same kind of printing representation. It's awesome. But earlier on, you mentioned just briefly by name, the iLearning Plus platform, and that you're really kind of heading that up with us and kind of working with that. Just give us a brief synopsis. Like, what is it? What's the impact for our listeners, and what can we kind of share about just the overall view of what iLearning Plus is?
So really, in a nutshell, it's online learning, right? That's so popular these days. People don't have the budget or time to travel, but they need to learn what they need to know. And, I note that I have been in the industry for a while. And when I owned my own business, I was trying to do the math in my head a little while ago, maybe about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Everybody I hired had experience. I didn't hire anybody I just didn't even consider somebody that didn't have experience. Well, if you fast forward to today, people that are getting hired are being hired with no experience or very little experience. And so the platform that we have, iLearning Plus, really is a way to help bridge that gap, right? So you're bringing in somebody new. How do you get them up to speed, right? I mean, traditionally, what you do is you'd have them shadow somebody around the shop all day long and try to learn all the different tasks so that they could fit in and be productive. But what if you could sit them down and have them watch a course on, for instance, one of ours is orientation to graphic arts. At least give them an idea of what this industry is all about, so that you've kind of done a level set where everybody's using the same language. They understand when you say, I want you to do this, or when you're talking about some part of our industry, they at least have a clue. So that's the real value in the platform. We launched back in August. I like that you said it was a soft launch, because it sort of still feels like that, though it's really starting to pick up speed. But we did launch in August of last year, right before our show. We have a number of courses on there, mostly introductory. There are some intermediate and advanced, and there are certifications, and we'll talk about some of those in a little bit. But that's our idea, is to bring online learning that is print industry specific, right? I mean, I know you can go to other platforms and get learning, but it's generic, right? Ours is print industry specific.
That's awesome. So I know certainly one of the things that I noticed, and I'm just to mention, if you guys know that I have seen the platform earlier and gotten to see a little bit of the back end of it. I just love that you really have a structure in place that makes it a little different. It has real structure. It's on a learning platform that's built for modular learning, and it is a little more like a traditional class type structure instead of just the live video setup. Right. So I think that's really interesting. Did you guys really kind of think about that ahead of time, the way you wanted to keep that rolling in the future?
Yeah, if you think about learning today, most people want it in little bite-sized chunks.
Yeah.
They don't want to sit down for 4 or 5 hours to try to, digest a topic. They just don't have the patience, the time, whatever for that. So all of our learning is broken up into small bite-sized modules. Once you start a course, you'll progress along. When you hit a natural break point, you'll take a break. When you come back, you pick up right where you left off. There's knowledge assessments as you go to make sure, did I really get that information that was just presented to me or not? Because if you didn't, you should make sure that you go back. In fact, we sort of force you to go back to make sure you do get it and can pass the test. And they're really very short. They're just an assessment that I get that little bite-sized bit of information, and then you move on. And that's what we find people are looking for. I'm not saying that traditional learning still doesn't have value, where you're like in person or, even a more extended, like live online learning. But this just lets you do it at your own pace, at your, at the comfort of your desk. Maybe you're doing a little bit over your lunch break. Maybe, you set aside a little time at the beginning or end of the day. It just lets you work at your pace. And we just find that that's been really valuable.
Yeah, that's so true. I love how well thought out all that is for you guys, that you understood that, right? I do think that what people are needing and maybe desiring, and what's out there for them hasn't always matched up. And so understanding that, that we've got busy lives, we've got, a limited amount of time, but if we continuously, if I show up in the platform every day, at the end of it, I'm going to learn something, and I can do that in a bite-sized manner. So I love that. Very much. All right, Ray. Well, and those of you that are tuned in listening live right now, make sure that you get your comments, your questions, your what do you want to know? Again, Ray not only is here to help us with iLearning Plus and understanding that, but he's an education guy, right? So if you've got a question about education, our industry, and we'll talk about it, right? So, but with that being said, Ray, I want to kind of think about, okay, we've got a lot of apparel decorators here, definitely on the small business side, typically, but not always, right? And so thinking about an apparel decorator, thinking about maybe a smaller business, where's the benefit for listeners of the Two Regular Guys podcast here?
Sure. So currently, if I think about apparel decorators, right, and when we launched, we only launched with 10 courses. We've since added an 11th. And we have a number of certifications, but so the course offerings are not really broad at this minute. We're working on that. But currently, even right today, if I'm an apparel decorator, I look at orientation and graphic arts. Okay, I bring in a new employee, at least that gives them an idea of what is going on in the industry. How to evaluate and communicate color. I was talking to Cassie Green of our apparelist, and I said, how many people just print black ink on white? Or, okay, some do, but most people are printing color, right? Our world is all about color. And if I don't have a language to talk about that, and I always say to people, think about this, because they're like, well, what do you mean by that? Well, so let's say I ask Eric and Aaron, you see something and I describe it as too warm. Eric might say, well, I think that's too orange or yellow. And Aaron might say, well, I think that's too red.
Yeah.
Well, let's figure out a common language so that when we're talking about it, we can have a good discussion and get to the end result quicker. Yeah. I also looked at, now this is a little more advanced course, but how to, color accurate soft proofing. How many of us are designing on a monitor and wish that what we were designing, what we're seeing on our monitor is what's coming out of the printer?
Yeah.
Well, listen, I just want to give you a secret. You can do that. You just have to know how to do it. And so we have a course that walks you through doing that.
Oh, that's awesome. Well,
and Photoshop color correction. Sorry, I almost forgot that one.
Yeah. Good. Oh, that's awesome. And like you said, you can do that, right? We can all do that. We just have to have the information. And now there's a platform that you can get that specific information.
Well, as an embroiderer, so as often the token embroidery guy, when I had to learn sublimation, I had to learn all sorts of color management stuff that I did not know I was going to need. So even if you don't think you need to know this stuff, the first time you print 100% K black that looks like gray on something, and you realize, there's more than one way to create black and formulate it in your software. Suddenly, color management becomes really important to you, real quick.
Well, Ray, and I speak to this too for me a little bit, but one of the things you mentioned, the intro to graphic arts, and I know that's kind of, I would say, cornerstone of what you guys are trying to do, maybe, right? And the way you described it to me when we had a chance to talk about this, but we're looking at our world, our bigger world of the printing world, right? And you guys have been the ones that are championing this convergence and what that means and how we can manage that. And so even if okay, well, maybe I'm a solopreneur. Well, getting an intro to what the bigger world is going to really broaden your horizons. Yeah. So I've got a customer that comes in and I'm a screen printer, but they need printed goods. They need promotional products. Whatever the other thing that's not my specialty is. If you can speak to that intelligently, you have a better opportunity to hold on to that customer through outsourcing or whatever. But anyhow, I would love to hear your take on that too. Like from the broader picture, education is value, right?
Well, absolutely. And so think about this, right? So when I was selling printers, I was working with screen print shops that were looking at, so, do I need a direct to garment printer? Do I need to do vinyl decoration? There are these other areas that would benefit my business, that my customers are asking about it. So if I understood it, I could make a judgment. Do I want to get into that, or do I go, I'd rather have somebody else do that. Let me go find that person. And if I understand it a little bit when I'm talking to them, then we can have a better conversation, rather than I just go, do you print signs? And they go, yep. But they don't print the kind of signs that I'm doing. You know what I mean? So I think having a good understanding of the industry as a whole should be for everybody, because we use this word so much that sometimes I think, we overuse it, but it's true. Convergence is a big deal. And I was seeing it back 15 years ago when I was selling printers to people, and they're like, wow, I'm a screen printer, but I keep getting these people come in and they want 5 shirts. What do I do? How do I handle that? I don't want to turn them away, because what if they go to somebody else who can also do screen printing? Well, now they're not coming to me for screen printing. So that goes that goes across the board, and you need to understand what's going on, and to be, like you said, Aaron, to be able to talk intelligently with those customers.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah. And education gets us beyond, because like you're talking about, I need a sign. Okay. Right. That's superficial level, right? That's the surface level. Intelligence comes out of getting below that surface level, and that comes with education. So, all right, I will jump down off of my soapbox now. And
I hate to say it's so hard not to just jump in and say yes, because that's something that even in teaching embroidery, people say, all right, well, I outsource all my digitizing, and I'm like, yeah, but do you know how to ask for what you need?
Exactly.
If you don't know how to ask for what you need, it's very hard to get exactly what you're looking for, especially if you're trying to do anything that's kind of above and beyond what everybody else is doing as a commodity.
Sure.
So super interesting to kind of hear somebody else say that in a broader perspective with convergence outside the industry. I love to hear that.
Sure.
But like I said, if we talk about this on a finer grain level, you talked about how people come in, they're being onboarded for companies, and they may come in with no experience, not know what they're talking about, and you kind of want to get them on the same level. So standard procedures, that stuff absolutely makes sense to me. But one of the great things I'm hearing you say about the platform is that there are questions to kind of verify that you've learned something and that you have certification on some of those courses. So what do you see as the kind of chief value of having a certification versus kind of usual course?
Well, so a certification really is a there's more verification that you know that information. So for instance, we have our color management professional fundamentals certification. So that's base level. I call that foundational color management knowledge. When you're done with that certification, you have to take a test and pass it to then get to be awarded the certification, which in our case, you get a digital badge.
Yeah.
So you get a badge that then anybody can click on. It's tied to you. It's not just some JPEG of a badge. It's a badge that's tied to you, so that Eric goes out and earns the certification, and Aaron goes, I like that. Let me just steal his badge and I'll put it in my signature. But if somebody clicks on it with a digital badge, they go, Aaron, this was issued to Eric. What's up with that?
Sorry, Eric, I'll give you your badge back.
But I always think to myself, you know what? If I go into, and look, I'm identifying myself as a car guy. I'm a car guy.
Yeah.
And when I go into a shop, I want to see an ASAE certification. That doesn't guarantee that they're going to do a good job, but it's a better chance that they're going to do a good job than the guy down the street who doesn't have a certification. Yeah. And I would say the same thing with my doctor. I want a doctor who's been certified. I don't want a doctor who just says, I kind of think I know how to handle this. So come on in.
I watched the YouTube videos. Come on, I got this.
I'm good. It's a verification of what you learned, Eric, to your point.
Yeah. So I like that. And honestly, even having both levels, because even on the courses that aren't certifications, the fact that you're having a skill check of any kind is already putting us kind of in the same place as some of the courses we've seen out there in the world. I think that's the thing that's also interesting, is that, you're elevating this to a level where it is on par with business courses in other areas of, of industry. And that's, I think, something that we haven't always had. And not to say, like I said, and as you said, there's plenty of value to the stuff we do. Heck, Aaron and I have already done quite a lot of live learning and other kinds of education. So I still think that's all valuable, but there is something special about having some structure and the ability to have certifications and skill checks, and honestly, places to stop and go, hey, here's what was important in that last segment.
Right.
It's a good thing for you to know this stuff. So it's really interesting.
Yeah. And I think just piggybacking on that, Eric, this coming from our industry trade association, this is what I'd always kind of hoped for. Right. And I'm sure there's been other programs, but structured in this way with somebody like Ray, being focused on it is pretty darn cool. So, all right. Yosta says, the certification in NFT.
No.
Who knows? No, it is not, but
at least not now.
Certifications on the blockchain. No.
Yeah, but that just got on Ray's list, I'm sure. No.
I'll just sell my certification to Aaron
That's right.
on the NFT market. No.
All right. Before we get too far away, okay.
Right.
Well, Ray, so tell us what's coming up here. What can we be looking for? You said you kind of get, it was a soft launch, so to speak, and you've got some things there, but what's coming up? Spring, fall? What can we expect?
Yeah. So the exciting thing, and look, I'm only going to focus on courses that I believe this audience is mostly interested in, because we have a number of others, but I'd rather focus on what I believe this audience is most interested in. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to run down the list of courses first that are slated for either, so just to let everybody know, what you'll want to watch for is our April and fall. I don't know exactly what month, but I'm going to guess, since we have a really big trade show in October, that it will probably coincide with that. But we're going to have a fall and a spring and a fall publishing date. And so all courses that are ready in the spring, and we already have some that are done, that are ready to go, some safety courses. And again, for your, I love what you said, soulpreneur.
Yeah, soulpreneurs, yeah.
Some of those safety courses might not be as applicable, but for larger companies, we have a machine guarding, and then we'll have some lockout tagouts coming. Machine guarding's in the platform now. If I had a bigger shop, I would be sending all of my employees through machine guarding. Mm-hmm. If I've got a lot of moving parts out there, I want to make sure my employees understand how to be safe. Running my own business, I know how important that was. So I'm just going to throw that out there real quick. Mm-hmm. But the courses that we have coming, and there'll be some certifications. I'm going to start with courses. An orientation to dye sublimation. You all might know somebody who's helping with that course, so we'll talk about that. Orientation to direct to garment and direct to film. You all might know somebody. The regulators might know somebody that's helping with that. Orientation to screen printing. Orientation to embroidery. You all might know somebody who's going to be helping with that. Digitizing for embroidery. Screen printing ink overview. So to help you understand, the world of screen printing ink, to really understand it. Problem solving and graphic screen printing. Our goal would be to have problem solving and apparel screen printing as well. Screen printing job setup and print production. Those are the courses that are, again, most applicable to this audience. There's others. And then on certification wise, so I mentioned the color management professional fundamentals. That really is across all industries. If I'm focused on color, no matter what segment I'm in, I should go through that course, because it's just foundational color management information. But I looked at that course and I said, you know what, but now let's think about, let's have a certification that's specific to direct to garment. So there'll be a color management professional direct to garment, color management professional screen printing, and a color management professional for dye sublimation and textile printing. So that once you've done the foundational one, you would then say, okay, well, I do direct to garment. Let me go take that one as part of my learning path. That's right. Cool. That's what's coming.
Cool.
That's a lot, boy. There's a lot of material there.
Yeah, a lot of great stuff coming there. Awesome. Yeah. All right. Real quick, Becky had mentioned in the comments over there what trade show is in October. So, Ray, what trade show is happening in October?
Well, there's this little show called Printing United. We are in Atlanta this year. I know you're going to ask me the date, and I should know that, but I don't.
I actually just got an email from you guys. It's the 18th through the 20th.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
See, I should have that on my talking point.
No, that's okay.
Yes, but we're going to be in Atlanta, taking both sides of the hall. So it's going to be a pretty good sized show.
Yeah,
I've seen some of the exhibitors who are there, and really excited about it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It'll probably be close in size or a little bit larger than what we were in Las Vegas, if you were in Vegas last October.
Yeah. And that was, if I remember right, talking to Ford there in Vegas on the podcast, I think you guys were north of 30,000 people that attended. So
that's what I understand. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
Little tiny show over there in Atlanta.
Just a little tiny show. 2 halls in Vegas.
Yeah. And Becky loves Atlanta, so we'll see you there, Becky.
Yeah, if you guys want to know more about it.
I have to say to this audience, right? I mean, go check out the apparel zone when you're there. That really, I saw what they did working. Josh Caruth put that together from our group, and really had a lot of cool stuff going on in that very large booth for apparel decorators.
Yeah, it was really cool, and they had the podcast booth just outside of that, and so lots of great content and information over there as well. And yeah, you could kind of see things from start to finish, all different types of things, from cut and sew to dye sub to screen printing to everything, DTFTG, all that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, Eric, I got us off track, so get us back on track, please.
Hey, that's all right. Like I said, I always want to make sure everybody knows printingunited.com. Go check that out. So if you want data, the dates you want to attend or exhibit, check that out at your leisure. But before we finish up the talking about, about iLearning Plus, and I'm going to go ahead and just, because I can, I'm going to share the stream real quickly, guys, so you can see this. This is over here at iLearningPlus.org. Since we have all of this fancy ability to give you a chance to see this stuff yourself, you can already see some of those featured courses we talked about. There's that machine guarding and the certifications. We can talk about orientation and graphic arts. So all that stuff is already available. So if you want to check it out, go over to iLearningPlus.org and give it a shot. So, but before we finish out with talking about that,
I have to mention,
sure,
that's one of my talking points, Eric. I'm glad you brought that up, and it's an important point.
Let's do it.
So iLearningPlus.org is open to the entire industry. It doesn't matter you're a member, non-member, it does not matter. It's open to everybody. However, if you're a member, you do receive a discount on any course. It's at least a 20% discount on any of the courses that are on the platform. Wanted to make sure I mention that because that's really important. So if you go there and look, you might say, well, let me try one of these courses first just to see what I think about it. You take one of the small courses, that delta from non-member to member is not that big. But if you're looking at a certification or doing multiple courses, it really makes sense to join because you pretty much make your money back on the membership almost immediately. It's $119 for the solopreneur. I love that's my new word now.
All
so for individual membership, and then it's $400 for a corporate member. Look, there's tons of benefits. I can't go into all of them. Obviously, I'm focused on iLearning, and there's an immediate benefit there of the 20% off. I had to make sure I mentioned that.
Yeah.
We'll ask you a little bit more about Printing United stuff like that for sure. But if you guys want to check that out, that's also at printingunited.com. I'm going to go ahead and do the other thing we do, which is give you guys the QR code up in the upper right-hand corner there. That's the overall Printing United membership stuff. You want to go over there and check that out. That's over at Printing United.
So just remember, that's Printing United Alliance. So it's printing.org. Printing.org.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. It's
Sorry about
membership.
that.
That's
printing.org
okay, my friend.
All right.
Printing.org is for membership. Printing
just
United.
Scan the QR code. Yeah. Okay.
Just
scan the QR code. It takes you where. Yeah.
I grabbed the wrong banner. That is my fault. We got all right. So before we get done with talking about, like I said, iLearning Plus, there is one last thing we want to talk about, which is that we do have educators here who are listeners, and lots of the folks here have been in the industry for a while. What kind of opportunities are there for educators who might want to get involved?
Well, as you and Aaron both know, so we do have a prescribed process. What we typically say, so we reached out to you, or I guess I reached out to Aaron and Terry first, and then they suggested Eric, and so we chatted. We have some courses that we're looking to develop, and we still do in the screen print arena. But that's not the, that's not the end all. If somebody has a course that they believe has value, they should reach out to me. We would chat about it. I'd ask them a little more information. We just try to determine, where does this fit? I will tell you that right now, because we believe if we don't have a strong foundation, to suddenly throw a lot of advanced level courses, it just kind of makes the site, it's wonky, right? I mean, having a learning path is more effective than, I just kind of randomly jump around and get these courses.
Mm-hmm.
So our goal right now is more introductory level towards intermediate, though honestly, we have a good list of introductory courses. So now going to intermediate makes good sense, and even to start growing to advanced. But if you have a topic or a course that you want to propose, email me. Excuse me, rweiss@printing.org.
Yeah,
no problem.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry.
And I think that's when I discovered this, I'm fortunate to know Ray from our time with Skills and working together, and he's been on this, and I'm like, I know that guy. I got to reach out to him. But that's the other thing that I love, right? Is you have a vision for what this is going to be, and so how does this grow? And I like that you're starting with the foundation. Let's make sure that everybody's got something good to grow off of, and then we can start getting into, just like you talked about with the direct to garment, for example, right? Let's get a foundation. Let's make sure that we kind of have that foundation. Then we can get to color. Then we could get to whatever, maybe it's fulfillment or something like that. So, yeah, very, very cool path too. I like that. So,
right.
I wanted to make sure that we got Barb's question answered, but Eric, you answered that for Barb there. Yeah. So, Eric, would you mind one more time on where people can find iLearning Plus, please, if you don't?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm going to throw the QR code up one more time for iLearning Plus as well. But if we're over at iLearningPlus.org, we can check that out there as well. So iLearningPlus.org is where you're going to find it. I will go ahead and add to the stream one more time just so you can see what we're talking about. If you are here, you are in the right place. And there's the featured courses that are there, as well as further courses afterwards, and the ability to go by topic. So those are all listed there. That was the question, is how do you find out what's listed? Head over to iLearningPlus.org.
Hey, and Eric, also, while you're showing the platform, if
Sure.
you scroll back up a little bit, just a tiny bit,
for sure.
Right about there is good. So you'll notice we've opened up the reviews of courses. So when you see stars under a course, those are actual users' reviews. And when you click on a course, do you mind clicking on Orientation to Graphic Arts and just scroll down a little bit? So you'll see it's 159. It lists up there. So, and it tells you the non-member price. So member, non-member price, right, is up in the upper left, right corner. Then over, if you scroll down just a tiny bit, so there's a description, and then scroll down a bit. There you go. That tells you what you'll learn. There'll be a course outline. It tells you about the instructor. So you really get a lot of information just by clicking in on a course before you purchase it. Make sure this makes sense. Gives you an idea of how long the course is, what it's going to cover. There'll be some recommended courses that might go along with it. That's the outline that it pulls directly from the platform. So you get an idea, and you can say, oh yeah, this makes sense for me. There's the instructor, Joe Marin. That's a couple related products. That's, Pocket Pal, for anybody that doesn't know the Pocket Pal, it's a great thing. Those are reviews. I don't mind you scrolling down, because we had one bad review. I told you the other day. Two. Look, we are completely transparent. We're showing the reviews for the last 60 days. We have many more reviews than that, but we didn't want to have the review page go on forever. If we get a bad review, I email the person and I say, could you share with me? I haven't heard back from that person yet. And then whenever someone finishes a course, I send a quick survey. I'm a big believer in we only get better by asking for input, right? That's how we improve. And so I send a survey out. It's one question. Would you recommend this to a colleague? And boy, I tell you, if they wouldn't, we need to figure it out. So far, we're getting really good scores there. But, I'm excited to get feedback. If you go into a course and you're not happy, email me. I'm not afraid of that feedback, because it helps us make it better. And that's my goal.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, thanks
right.
for walking through it with us. I mean, I think that's something people are always curious about it. And like I said, I was very impressed with the platform and all the features that you guys have built in. I know it's not just the technology side of it, but this is really well thought out. So it's not just your average page full of videos. And that's something cool to kind of point out.
Yeah.
This was a big team effort, I promise you.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I believe it. Having built a couple of e-commerce websites in my time, I already knew there was some nice effort put into the back end of this.
Yeah. So, Ray, I guess for me, in kind of closing here a little bit, I do want to ask you one additional question. You've launched this in August, you said, right? And you've gotten some feedback. What are people kind of drawn to the most so far?
So our most popular right now is orientation and graphic arts, far and away. Again, foundational course, introductory, tons of people are taking that course.
Yeah.
How to evaluate and communicate color, probably right up there, or not quite up there with it, but very popular. One that we didn't really talk much about, but that's, again, you might say, well, for a solopreneur, does it matter? I don't know. I think it does, which is our customer service professional certification. So that's all about giving good customer service, right? And then you get a little badge at the end that you can put in your email. So then you better live up to it, is what I always say. And then our color management professional fundamentals. Those are really the four that they're just, I don't want to say flying off the shelf because they're not off the shelf, but they are definitely the most popular courses and certifications.
Yeah, I love that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I love that you brought up the customer service one too, Ray, because I do think that's another important thing to understand. You guys have intention of continuing to build that part of it too. I mean, we all love to, how do I use the tool? How do I, the thing, but you're a business and there's a lot more to business than just printing the shirt or printing the banner or, customer service is obviously one. I believe you guys are working on some management kind of courses potentially or things like that. Where does that kind of, how does that all kind of intermingle?
Well, so we're trying to stick to our core competencies, which is printing, right? Okay. So it's not just, somebody asked me the other day, do you have sales courses? And at first I say yes, because we have a color management professional certification for salespeople, but that's not really a sales course. It's so that salespeople understand color management so that when they're talking about it, they don't oversell.
What? I never heard a salesperson do that.
Oh yeah, we can match exactly your color across 1,000 shirts. Oh my gosh! Well, we're doomed now.
Yeah.
Right? So there is that, but so we don't really go into how to sell, and even on business management, it needs to be very narrowly focused on business management for printing.
Gotcha.
Right, because we're trying to stick to our core competency, which is printing.
Yeah.
There's lots of courses out there. I'm talking right now with my boss about a course and trying to really decide, does this fit? It sort of seems interesting, but it's sort of a I think he called it practical photography. The person who's proposing it.
Yeah.
He's clearly a good photographer. And I went so far as to say, look, give me an outline so I understand exactly what you think you're covering. And it's really all about good photography. But what I need him to do is help tie it into, where does it fit? How does that benefit a printing business? Because you could go get a good photography course, Udemy, Coursera. I mean, there's lots of options out there. And we're trying to stay focused that what we offer is specific to our industry. So.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I love that, and focusing is an important piece of this. Yeah, you could, in education, go a lot of places, right? My brain will go all over the place, and but being focused and really good at what you're doing is also very important.
Though I love this concept of tying it in, where even when you do have a topic that is more into kind of that business management or workflow, whatever it is, it's not just, hey, we're doing this workflow. this is workflow for print. This is not only workflow for print, this is this kind of print. Because I think that's, though we sometimes don't get taught these things, and I know we have a comment from Ramona, which is good. I think customer service is massively important, not taught anymore. Absolutely, still good. But do love that the context is there. We actually have a LinkedIn user saying that too. I don't know who you are, LinkedIn user, not logged in, but everything is presented with context with printing industry and iLearning Plus. No generic content here. Love it. That's really cool because it's something that we need, and it speaks directly to how we work. So that's really awesome. Right. So though we've already talked about it, one more time, how can listeners find you, and what do you want them to kind of reach out to you for, or where do you want them to go to find out the most about iLearning Plus and what you guys offer?
Well, so I would say if you're interested in iLearning Plus, go right to ilearningplus.org. Check out the courses, pick one and try it out. Yeah. Share any feedback with me. I love feedback. I get notified still, and I'm sure at some point this will stop. But every time someone completes a course, I get an email because I still like that. I think hasn't overwhelmed me yet. At some point, it'll overwhelm me, and I'll turn that feature off. That's the nice thing about our platform. And then I'll just probably go in and pull a report. But right now, I get an email every time, and so when someone completes it, I immediately send them a survey. I want that feedback. So if you have feedback, please, Ray Weiss, R Weiss, at printing.org. I always say my name, Ray Weiss, but it's R Weiss at printing.org. I welcome your emails. Happy to chat. If you think you have a suggestion for a course, reach out to me. Or if you're an instructor who's done teaching before and you're familiar with screen printing or apparel decorating, reach out to me because we have a list of courses that we're trying to pair up instructors with. I'm reaching out to people as we speak, to talk about these other courses that we want to develop for the apparel decorators. So
awesome.
Ray,
I so appreciate your time today. Really cool platform you got going on. Thank you for bringing us to our industry. And as you know, we're obviously huge proponents of education, and we also appreciate being a part of this with you.
Yeah. Thank you both. I'm looking forward to working with you as instructors.
Thank you much, sir.
All right. Thanks, Ray. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Man. Exciting stuff, right? Yeah. Exciting stuff because it's,
cool.
I think a lot of people have called for this before, as much as, like I said, I don't want to take away from anybody else's education they're doing or stuff that we've done. Like I said, we've been involved in all manner of education up to this point, but love to see this going in the kind of direction that I've seen a lot of people asking for, especially in the medium to larger businesses where we have certifications, where we have some testing, where we have a little more structure. So really interesting stuff.
Yeah, really cool, and I'm glad that that's out there. Again, we're always, hey, how do we get more education? Because I do believe that, right? When we spend a lot of time on the surface level, we want to just quick, instant gratification, and unfortunately, to be successful, we have to go deeper, and the only way we can do that is to educate ourselves. And so, even if you're looking at this, going, how does this help me? Right? I was hoping that we were able to kind of walk through with Ray as solopreneur. I'm glad that he picked up on the word, and I like that, right? Because that is in the apparel side, there are a lot of those folks out there that are that way, and sometimes they feel like there's not something for them. But I think educating yourself at a deeper level will get you, to where you want to go, even if that's to stay a solopreneur at all times. Sure, that's okay, right? So, well,
and we've all worked either at shops or been around shops, and I know I've worked at these shops where you start out with a group of people who were either solopreneurs or a couple guys in a shop, a couple guys in a garage. By the time that they have 20 employees, by the time that they have that, they may have really not kind of gotten together these standard operating procedures, the standards. It's more that things have just kind of developed as they had to on the way. And I know some of those folks feel a little lost. Like they feel like they would like to have something a little more formal, or at least a little more guided. And this is just another option for that. And I love to see it. Like I said, I love to see it. It doesn't take away anything from live education or the live shows we do, or even the project level stuff. I know that's something we kind of talked about, where this is more, this is process level, where other people like to do project level, where we talk about, hey, this is how you decorate this specific thing. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. But there's a ton of people who are looking for something that they can, like I said, get somebody up to speed. And like Ray said, when you have somebody who's completely doesn't have the language to even speak with you about the topic yet, a place to start and get them, up to speed and tested and really understanding what they need to understand. So good communication, like I said, always good stuff.
Yep, for sure. All right. Well, and I did go and check, and our LinkedIn user is Joe Marin. So he knows what's going on. He's intimately, in fact, he was the course instructor of So
all right,
great guy over there.
Well, thank you, Joe. Sorry, I just called you LinkedIn user, but
that's right.
That's all we have from the chat blog.
And then Ramona says, I like the idea of education that goes beyond entry level. So
we need entry level education, and actually that's the thing. Ray talked about having this path to understanding there is going to be entry level education, but that you're doing it in a way that is building toward kind of that. I guess that was the way he said, the learning path. And I love that. That's something I'm actually talking about on my show today. The path of learning, the path of learning, something is important to understand too. And having some, defined steps and places to check in. That's fantastic.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to super impress Terry. We're going to actually get out of here on time today, Eric. Maybe we can still.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
It is incredible. But before we go, what is coming up? You said you're going to be talking about some stuff today. What's happening over there on the Take Up and otherwise?
All right. So what I have coming up today, today is episode 144 already for the Take Up. So that's coming up at 2:30 p.m. Mountain Time, the time that I'm at. So if you're in Denver or Albuquerque, you already know. But in this episode,
3:30 if you're center of the universe. Just
3:30 center of the universe time. Okay. I got it, Central people. But today we're going to talk about my path to learning machine embroidery digitizing. So honestly, that's part of it. I've shared my kind of life story of being a digitizer many times, but I'm going to talk about the pathway I took to learning and some of the pathways and methods I've watched my students and my attendees attempt. And I'm going to talk about pros and cons of starting from perhaps like the design side versus making the machine your first stop like I did, and the benefits of education in a more formal way and the kind of education we do for trade shows just coming up too. So join in live at 2:30 Mountain Time and share your take. I would love to have your take on what you did to educate yourself. So embroiderers, digitizers, show up, talk about how you learned, and let's have that discussion. So that's going on. You go to ericcampbell.com. Up at the top, there's a tab that says the Take Up. Click there for the entire playlist and for the live setup for YouTube. But it's happening all over on all platforms. Also, what is coming up for all of us, but I am definitely feeling this crunch. DAX Kansas City is coming up very shortly. So for me on the... next week is DAX Kansas City. If you are not set up for it, you are getting late. But hey, there's still time to sign up. If you haven't signed up yet, sign up. If you're going to be there the day before the show, and I encourage you to do so, get there on the 23rd for the long workshop I've got going on entitled "Build Up Your Digitizing Design Elements and Execution." This piece is going to be building on what I've taught in previous years, talking about stitch selection, interpretation of art, and how to go beyond how we actually choose how to draw things, including some examples of outlining, borders, mascot style art, applique style art. There's going to be some direct examples of how to handle logo type stuff, as well as some of the naturalistic stuff that I've done in my earlier courses about carving and shading and all that. So that's all going to happen together, including, like I said, some solid examples from the trade from my time as a digitizer in-house. But also on the 24th, I have Embroidery RX, a digitizer's view, and you can learn about troubleshooting designs specifically from the digitizing side of things, from someone who's talking about what's going on in the file. We'll delve a little bit into other things that are going on, but this is actually partnered up with Katie Woobid, who's going to teach another course that's more from the machine side. So we're kind of both doing an Embroidery RX course. Mine's going to be really about the file and how to work on that. Hers is going to be about the machine and what happens in execution. So if you take them both, you end up with a really broad example that where they refer to each other to the same kind of things that we're diagnosing, but you'll see the digitizer side versus the machine side. So that's going on the 24th. You can learn more about it at daxshow.com, but we encourage you to sign up ahead of time, and we love to have you there. So love to see you in any of those courses.
Wow. Sounds fantastic. So yeah, if you're not already planning to head to Kansas City, we will now see you there. So,
and if you are, show up early. I'll be there.
That's right. Get there on 23rd for that close class. All right. Real quick for me, Eric. DAX Kansas City is definitely the pressure, fill-in pressure coming up. Our success group does have a booth there, booth 211. And so come and hang out, say hello, drop your bag under the table, whatever. Mikasa, Sukasa, is that how it goes?
Right.
I will have a blow up couch and everything. So it'll be great. So, and then during the show, I will be teaching a few seminars myself. On the 24th, I've got the simple art of working on your business. And that's one of the free classes to start off the morning there. So make sure that you stop in for that. And then on 24th, later that day, I will be teaching the 5 keys of marketing. And the next day I will be teaching getting your life back. And this is about time management, priority management, just systematizing things. And, it is really geared for those solopreneurs that we talked about with Ray today that, they're feeling a little overwhelmed, right? How do we manage our business in such a way that, we run our business doesn't run us, I guess is the best way to say that. So
I should have hung out and signed up, my man.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good course.
I'll send you show notes. All right. Yeah. And then I get back from that and turn around. I'll drop the laundry off and kiss my wife and son on the head and get back on the road and head off to Lafayette, Louisiana, March 3rd through the 5th. And I've got 5 classes out there. So the first class is called Keys to Starting a Product Decorating Business. The second class is Unlock Your Full Potential. And this is going to be a little different than you would expect from most garment decorating classes out there. We're going to actually do a guided meditation during the class. So if you think this is the way I described it in the description was if you think this is too woo-woo for you, then this is probably the class you need to be at. Right. So because it really kind of, we have all the things that we need inside of us. We just have to unlock those things, right? We have to believe in ourselves enough. And so once we're, this is geared towards, new business startups. Half the time, people like, oh, why can't I do this? I need to know about this thing or this thing or this thing. It's like, how often do you share your business? How passionate are you about what it is that you do? What? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just believe in it, right? Because if you believe in it, sharing it's going to be the easy part. You don't need some marketing guru, right? It's just going to be out there for you. So anyhow, sorry, I could talk about that for a long time. I'm really
teach the course right here.
Yeah, really passionate about that. So we're going to get into that. Then once we finally believe in ourselves, now how do we find the customers? How do you find our customers to stand out in a crowd? And this will be talking a little bit about niche marketing and that kind of thing. But how do you identify who your ideal customer is? So we'll talk about that. Then the next day on the 5th, I will be talking about it's time to take action, right? It's like, okay, great. I got the education, I've been certified, quote unquote, right? Whatever it is right there. But guess what? You still have to take the action. So we're going to talk about how do we do that, right? How do we overcome the fear of putting ourselves out there? Oh gosh, I have to do a Facebook Live. I have to go on with Eric. That's scary. He's like whatever that is. So that's on the 5th. Then later that day, finally pricing for profit. So there's a cycle. I'd love it if you took all 5, but you can certainly get things out of just grabbing and choosing 2, but it is intentionally set up in that order because it is a full process.
Nice, man. Like I said, we're going to have a decorating wing for you. And then we do still have stuff coming up for Terry. I will share just shortly. TerryCombs.com is where he has all this stuff for his tour dates. And as you know, he will be with us at DAX Kansas City as well. So everything you wanted to know about DTG and DTF printing is coming up. And as we said, underlined and everything, the ultimate seminar for successfully using specialty inks, both coming up at the DAX show. So go ahead and check him out at TerryCombs.com. Go to the tab that says tour dates, and you will see upcoming events from Terry.
Yep. Excellent. All right. Well, Eric, I can't wait to see you live and in person next week. But speaking of that, show next week will still be happening, but it will be happening at 7 p.m. Central Time. So we're moving it back. Terry and I will be coming to you from a hotel room, and so it'll be a fun show. Topic still in the works. Terry's got his thinking cap on about that. So if there's something you guys want to talk about, obviously we will be at DAX, but we're not intending to just talk about the DAX show. We're happy to cover whatever topic you guys would like, but a little more of a loose, fun show next week at 7 p.m. Central Time. So if you're a normal live viewer, check that out. The podcast version will still drop at the same time, but that's all right. So that's next week. Eric, great job. Thank you for filling in. Appreciate you being here. I want to thank Ray for sharing and creating and being, a champion of this iLearning Plus program. And so thank you for his time to explain it to all the regulators out there today.
No, it's fantastic. And great to have Ray on, and great to get the show going. It's just good to see more eyes on it and have more people get involved.
Yes.
All right, folks. Well, I think we've done it. And until then, I'm Eric Campbell sitting in from Terry Combs. He's Aaron Montgomery.
And we are the Two Regular Guys.
Here we go. We're out.
Awesome.
Thank you for listening to Two Regular Guys. Check out our website at tworegularguys.com. That's the number 2, regularguys.com. You can also interact with us over at our Facebook page, facebook.com/tworegularguys, or send us a tweet, twitter.com/tworegularguys. And we have a YouTube page. You can find all that from our website, tworegularguys.com. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to spending some time with you again next week.